Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. With the 2021 season now coming to a close, we now head forward into the 2022 postseason. The Dallas Cowboys will be a part of that, as we are well aware of, and in fact, they moved up in the seeding due to the events that unfolded today. We had the crazy Week 18. This is probably the craziest Week 18 I've ever been a part of watching. We almost got the greatest thing to ever happen, and that was a tie to send both teams to the playoffs, but unfortunately we didn't get that. Mad, but still, I think the funny part is the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Colts and throwing this whole thing into a loop. So thank you, Jacksonville, for that. That's greatly appreciated. But we now know who we're facing, and we know when we're going to face them. Your Dallas Cowboys will be playing the longtime playoff rival from the 90s and 80s, the San Francisco 49ers, in the first round at home. 4:30 on CBS. This is, in fact, the first time the Dallas Cowboys have been on CBS for a playoff game since the 1993 NFC Championship game, in which they played the 49ers at home. And they beat the crap out of them in that game. So, a couple initial thoughts about this game, number one, but number two, how I'm feeling about the bracket, and ultimately, how far do I feel the Cowboys can go given the matchups? Now, as I do every year, I typically like to do a playoff prediction type of video, and I will, go through each of the matchups on a serious basis after I get a sense of how the teams are going to look. I'll probably put that video up around Wednesday, maybe, because I want to make sure that there's no issues. So the Dallas Cowboys will be, like I mentioned, playing the 49ers in the first round, and the rest of the playoffs are set. To kind of get a sense of what's going to be happening, on Saturday we'll have two wild card games. That's going to be the Raiders and Cincinnati Bengals going at it in the first playoff game at 4:30, and that's going to be on NBC. Then we have the New England Patriots traveling to Buffalo to face the division rivals, their division rivals, on CBS at 8:15 p.m. We fast forward to Sunday, and we have three playoff games, two NFC, one AFC. One is our Dallas Cowboys, as we know. The Eagles will be playing Tampa Bay in the first round, obviously, on Fox. Then on CBS, you have the San Francisco 49ers traveling to Dallas. This is also on Nickelodeon as well, which is pretty funny. And then at 8:15, the Steelers will be playing the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City, which is crazy to say the least, because Ben Roethlisberger I thought he was playing his final game today, and they got a chance at the playoffs, and lo and behold, they get in. So his career is not over yet, but it probably will be. And then finally, on Monday, you have Arizona and the Rams going at it in that divisional roundup on ESPN. So Dallas avoids getting on Monday night, and for me, that was the biggest thing I was worried about. The Cowboys get a extra day of rest, which is fantastic. They get their time in, and beating a bunch of backups, but getting playoff tested, or playoff ready, I should say. And yeah, so to kind of get a sense of how I'm feeling about the matchup, it is a matchup that the Cowboys cannot take for granted. San Francisco is a team that runs the ball extremely well, but the main thing that I think the Cowboys really put themselves in a good situation is that they're not facing a mobile quarterback. They're playing Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, he isn't terrible, but he's pretty mid, to say the least. And I think that when you look at this matchup, the Dallas Cowboys ultimately have to put up as many points as possible and just prevent the 49ers from playing keep away. And that's the one thing that kind of worried me in that final game versus Philadelphia, was you had some starters out there against the Philly backups, and they were running the ball really well. But I'm not taking that super seriously, because you had one of your better run-stopping players and Jaron Kearse out. You're going to end up having Micah Parsons back. You're going to have Trevon Diggs. Like, the Cowboys are looking to go into this game fully loaded, assuming nothing crazy happens. So I like the matchup. I think this gives Dallas a test against teams that run the ball very well. And I did say on Twitter, this game isn't going to be easy. And a lot of people said, well, it's a playoff game. No crap, it's not going to be easy. Look, I understand, where we're coming from. I just want to kind of stress it that, this is not the easiest matchup because it's a playoff game and number one. But number two, there are things that I'm comfortable with picking the Cowboys to win this game, and I'm kind of holding on that. But again, I'm going to just go back, watch the 49ers, see what they can and can't do. But there's a couple, if you're the superstitious type, since 2000, and I talked about this in one of my videos, the Dallas Cowboys, when they've clinched the playoff spot, and they have won that last game of the season, they went on to win their first playoff game, and the same goes to when they lost their final game of the season. They lost in their first playoff game. The Cowboys won against Philadelphia, and I do believe that they will beat the 49ers because I think for the 49ers, you're just hoping that Dallas trips up over itself. If they don't, this is going to be a long day for San Francisco. And this gives Dallas a huge test because that front, they don't really blitz a whole lot from what I've been seeing. And I'm going to continue to look at that and then make my final prediction on Wednesday. But ultimately, when you look at this entire bracket, the Cowboys getting the number 3 seed works in their favor because the way you look at it is you at least now have a legitimate opportunity to host the NFC Championship game if you make it. I'm not saying they're going to make it, but hear me out. If Dallas is to, in fact, win against the 49ers, you go into the divisional round either locked in to play Tampa Bay, which you're going to find out after 1 o'clock before your game starts. We'll know what's going to happen. So you're either going to end up going on the road to Tampa Bay in a rematch of Week 1, which is a winnable game, and and if we get there, I'm going to explain why. But you have a situation where if Philadelphia upsets the Buccaneers, then you end up hosting a divisional round game. So you at least have a chance to host a second round playoff matchup. And if it goes that far to say if a possible upset with the first seed happens, regardless if you play Tampa Bay or not, you're going to end up hosting the NFC Championship game. So there is that. So the way I look at it is that Dallas gets a very good playoff game at home, or playoff matchup, because if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. San Francisco got to the playoffs, and you saw this in the game versus the Rams, as we all were probably watching that. The Rams themselves took their foot off the gas, but more importantly, the San Francisco 49ers ran the ball effectively, and the Rams couldn't stop it. So when you look at that game, I'm kind of sitting at home, and I'm like, I wouldn't be upset if we played the Rams because I felt that the Rams ultimately were the better matchup for Dallas because you could see it. Matthew Stafford, for some weird reason, whenever the lights shine bright, he, just goes into this shell. And so it really, the way that game went encapsulated exactly what I would have loved to see if we faced the Matthew Stafford team. Now, what sucks is that even if they had won, you're kind of hoping that the Cardinals win, and so they didn't. So it ended up coming down, it really looked like, okay, at first it looked like, okay, we're definitely facing Arizona. Then it was like, okay, we're probably facing the Rams. And then it's like, okay, we're facing the 49ers. So so it was just such a wacky Week 18 to not know who you were going to play, and now that we know who we're going to play, it makes it all the better. So my initial thoughts are that the Cowboys get a nice matchup to get tested to see if they're really ready. They're going up against teams, they're going to go up against a team that has had recent success, but more notably has a guy that has running concepts that have worked, and that's what led them to a championship. So a tad bit nervous in the sense of what we're going up against,
But because I say we're a tad bit nervous, doesn't mean that I don't think we're going to win. I do believe, based off of the momentum that the Cowboys have generated, I think... And keep in mind, the Cowboys didn't have to win that game versus the Eagles. The San Francisco 49ers had to win that game versus the Rams to get into the playoffs. So you could argue that, hey, they spent a lot of their energy and time getting into the playoffs, so that could end up causing them. Dallas has an extra day of rest. I think that I'm at a 7 out of 10 in terms of confidence that the Cowboys will win. And some interesting stats that I will account for in the playoff game preview, but also the reasoning why I would take Dallas to beat the 49ers. The 49ers, in their entire playoff history against the Dallas Cowboys, are 2-5. Their only 2 wins have come from the catch and the 1994 NFC Championship game. Those are the only 2 wins. They have not won at home versus the Cowboys in their entire playoff history. So that's number 1. Number 2, since 1996, the Cowboys are 8-4 versus the 49ers. And, we beat them last year. And I think, they weren't starting Jimmy Garoppolo because he was hurt and all this stuff. I don't care. We didn't have Dak Prescott, and we still put up 41 points against them. I think, and I know it's a different year, but I do think the Cowboys will take care of business in the first look at it. But yeah, I'm really excited for this matchup. So, us younger guys and gals, we finally get our taste of an old 90s rivalry in Wild Card Weekend. So that's going to be so fun to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick little glance at the end of Week 18 to know who we're playing, some thoughts, how I feel about this playoff run, and I'm going to then post the playoff predictions, who I think is going to go to the Super Bowl, and all that other stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, guys. Bye-bye.